Hello again. Like many people, I gained a good deal of pleasure from watching presidential candidate Joe Biden addressing a meeting of mainly African Americans at the Grace Lutheran Church in Kenosha, Wisconsin on Thursday, the 3rd of September 2020. In an effort to ingratiate himself with the black people present that day, he made the surprising claim that a black man invented the light bulb, not a white guy named Edison. Well, it is perfectly true that Edison didn't invent the light bulb, of course. It was first produced by an Englishman called Joseph Swan. He wasn't black, though. In the description to this video, I give a link to a video showing this, and I give a link to a video of my own made a while ago which explains this nonsense. This is, of course, all part of an attempt to show that black people have actually made far more of a contribution to the modern world than is recognised, and that they have been cheated of their place in history by unscrupulous white supremacists. Perhaps turbocharged by the internet, claims which were once regarded as the stuff of crank pseudo-history have now leapt into respectable discourse. The blunt truth is that nothing has been invented in sub-Saharan Africa since the bone harpoon, something like 35,000 years ago. Since then, no inventions at all have emerged from black Africa, nor, sadly, have the descendants of those from that part of Africa invented anything worth talking about either. This is a bit embarrassing, and so a very clever scheme has been hatched to persuade people that many of the things in everyday life that they take for granted were actually invented by black people who have been erased from history because we white folk were jealous and so stole their inventions and claimed them for our own. Of course, it sounds raving mad, and so indeed it is, but it has become quite a successful scheme. I thought I'd explain how the trick is worked, since it is completely true and there is not a shred of evidence to support any of the claims made. It might puzzle some viewers how this thing has become accepted by even people like the President of the United States. I have perhaps remarked before that I've turned my hand to most lines of work at one time or another, and one of the least interesting jobs I ever had in my life was working for a patent agent in London, which entailed hanging around the Patent Office library in Chancery Lane a lot. I soon noticed, while working at this job, that very few of the things being invented were really new. One didn't find that somebody was trying to get a patent for the telephone or the aeroplane or steam engine or anything like that. No, almost without exception, they were tinkering about with improving an existing invention. So rather than have to patent the microphone, say, one would see a claim which was for improvements in and relating to the electrical reproduction of sound. This would be for a way of making microphones more efficient. Most of these improvements were anything but, and so you will have thousands of patents relating to light bulbs, telephones, radio, everything else. Among these, most will be from white people, some for Chinese, Italians or Indian people, and some will be by black people. As I say, most of these, by any ethnicity or nationality, will turn out to be useless. The Black Inventors gag is worked by scouring through patents, and they're all available to the public, and looking for names which look as though they might be black people. This is not as hard as it seems, because you'll find a black person occasionally who has filed hundreds of patents relating to all kinds of things. There are white people like that too, but you can ignore them when you're doing this. This is how a black guy became touted as the man who invented the electric light bulb, of course. He patented what he said was a new and improved method for forming carbon filaments, which was never actually used by anybody. But because he was a black man and it was a patent relating to light bulbs, why not say that he invented the light bulb? Let me give you a practical example of precisely how this works. In the description to this video, I give a link to the enticingly named 120 things you probably didn't know were created by black inventors. Of course, there's the usual rubbish about George Washington Carver inventing peanut butter. He didn't. Scrolling down the list, we find that a black man invented the fountain pen. This is news indeed. I have a book here. It's an old one. It's called The Shell Book of Firsts. It's one I've had for many years. It was published in 1974. I have other books, any number of books actually, with a similar amount of information in them. But, I mean, this will do as well as any. Let's see what it says about the first fountain pen. It says the first fountain pen was reported from Paris by two Dutch travellers. They saw it on sale there for 10 francs in 1656. In Britain, a silver reservoir pen, which is very necessary, is how Samuel Pepys described the earliest recorded example in Britain, presented to him in August 1663. There's more here about various improvements and developments. Joseph Bramah, 1809. And then there's the American Waterman. I'm sure we're all familiar with Waterman's fountain pens. Waterman, his patents came to fruition in 1884 with pretty much perfect system for allowing ink and air to pass in opposite directions at the same time. Right, what this tells us is that essentially by 1890 the fountain pen had been around for more than 200 years and was practically perfect, just as we know it today. That website to which I give a link says that a black man called William B. Purvis invented the fountain pen. In fact, on January the 7th, 1890, long after the fountain pen had been invented and perfected, Purvis was granted US patent 419,065 for improvements relating to fountain pens. His design was never actually manufactured. It's no more than a curiosity. But simply the fact that he was black is enough for the claim to be made that he invented the fountain pen. This then is how the black inventor trick is pulled, and it is massively on the increase today. Nobody likes to laugh out loud at such childlike claims for fear of offending or upsetting anybody. But as I say, the truth is that no inventions of any significance have been made by members of this ethnicity for many thousands of years. You could play this game if you wished with Italians or Chinese people as well. All it would take would be a huge amount of bad faith and the time to search through patent applications looking for this nationality or ethnicity or that in order to prove that they invented everything we use today from the lawnmower to the light bulb.